Hello everyone, Achadino over here, and today we are going to talk about the build that I'm planning to play in the new league. Of course, this is going to change a little bit, mostly because a lot of the awakened um, gems that I'm going to be using are not going to exist anymore. So maybe we do replace the physical damage and brutality with other different ones. Do remember that we still have Endurance Charge of Millstone on our neck from the Ulnetol's Bow. Very strong. Of course, if you get, how's it called? One of the Haste necklaces, like a Focused or Simplex, is going to be stronger, but those are like the price of my whole build, so I don't know what to say. Now, what is the idea? We are going to be going full physical damage with the Arn's Anguish belt, making it so we have chance to do triple damage. We are going to be using, of course, Flicker Strike and also Vaal Flicker Strike. One very important thing about Flicker Strike that you will know is that with Ancestral Fury or the Warrior's Legacy Ring, we hit twice. A lot of people have already been doing kind of showcases on that. And if you want, you can see my Warden that I played one league ago, no, the other one, then 326. 327, I did some Venom Guy, was kind of cool, but basically, we don't need to use that ring as Berserker, and we also scale a lot with Rage. Of course, this Rage also enables us to use Vengeful Cry and also Berserk. That is going to be one of the big combos that we have with a secret tech that I'm going to play a little bit later. Now, the build is not super tanky, and also my POB, I'm not going to actually share it because with a lot of changes, it has been a little bit bricked, let's say. But the idea is we have big impales, we have the impaler. This is a cool thing. I'm going to explain why we play that one. And then we are going to have 12 brutal charges, that means 12 endurance charges. And with Relicash, those endurance charges also come as a defensive tool. Also, we have the Blood stance right now, but you can change to Sand stance to get around quite a bit more max hit. Of course, you will lose quite a bit of DPS, as you might expect. So I do stay in Blood stance. Of course, you can make this a lot more tanky. One of the good things is because we do so much damage, we actually cap 45 quite easily, and because we are using a staff, do remember that we have access to, how's it called, Overlord. One of these clusters will have Overlord, and then you can use that one to cap your 45 stacks. Now, what is the mechanic that makes this build strong in bossing? As you might expect, with the Impaler and Vaal Flicker Strike, with also the extra Impale from Brutal Skewering and the Watcher's Eye, we are going to be having a Flicker Strike that is the Vaal version, and it's also going to do a lot of extra damage from the Priest of Kopek. We are going to be using 42 souls, making it so it does 42% more damage. And this doesn't include the actual super impales from the Impaler. Also, as you might expect, we will have with Harpooner that we have 30% extra effect, and we also will get 20% extra effect from the Mastery itself. I don't have it right now because as I said before, I need to change the build itself. While I actually make it inside of the league, I will post things again. And with that, you are getting the extra damage. Now, of course, this damage is going to be a lot higher because from the Vaal Flicker Strike, there is a chance that we do quite a bit of triple damage hits. And then those make the... We have a baseline of 8 impales. And afterwards, we get 5 more. So we get 13 impales. And they have a huge impale effect. And then we pop all of them. Now, of course, there are some things that we do use. I don't have it right now, but you already know the tech if you have been playing Arns Anguish. On your offhand, you have the Red Blade banner and Enduring Crider, and with that, you cap your endurance charges. So you always have 12 even before a boss fight, so you don't even need to, let's say, ramp there. And also, another way that we don't need to ramp is we are going to be using with not a lot of chaos resistance. You kind of can min max and look at things a little bit different. With Doedre's Elixir, we're going to be savage hitting ourselves. This savage hit will enable Vengeful Cry, and when we use Vengeful Cry, we are going to most likely cap our rage. So you can see here that we are doing 200 and something million. Then we get Vengeful Cry, and we get around 255, and then also get Berserk, and then we are capped on frenzy charges from using our Doedre's Elixir, because we are also using the Traitor to get extra charges on that. Then you can of course use the War Banner if you have some charges from before, but I don't have it enabled because, as you might expect, before a boss we don't really have it. I do have Pride Max Effect because while we are doing the Vaal Flicker Strike, we do get kind of the mid place, but if you put the initial, it's also nothing crazy. Warcry power, of course, I put 20, but it's infinite, as you might expect. Now, one of the things that you need to do is with those two, you have Berserk, and then you will also have Phase Run, because we have quite a bit of frenzy charges from using the how's it called? So there's Elixir. We will have our, as you can see here, we have 6 frenzy charges, so that makes the duration last quite a bit. With the Warp Runegraft and with more duration, it lasts enough so it gets our Build Vaal Flicker Strike in. We do those 25 hits of the Vaal Flicker Strike in around 1 second and something, and Phase Run lasts a little bit longer. And of course, even if you spend those frenzy charges, Vaal Flicker gives you frenzy charges on hit, so you will cap them also very fast again. That will make it, of course, so you pop with also Phase Run, and as you can see, the damage also goes hugely. That is without keeping into account that we have the super impales from the impaler, so that is going to be the Vaal Flicker Strike also with the Phase Run. And then we also have our other boy. Our other boy is going to be the one from Ancestral Fury, and that one actually works with Vaal Flicker Strike because it's not like non-Vaal. It's, as you can see, a strike skills. This means that all of our Vaal Flickers are also going to get that boy, and it seems that he has his own super impaler, also impales, and then we will have those 26 impales that we will pop, let's say. And even if he doesn't get the impale, because I don't really have a way to check if he does, he still does a huge hit, and maybe he doesn't get the ones from the impaler, but he does get the one from yourself. Or even the hit damage, as you can see, is also quite powerful. It's around 300 million. Of course, you can't really get this from DPS because remember, this is an attack that we do fully. So we get the average damage that it's around, as you can see here, 500 million. And with that, we kind of put the half or something like that as a hit, or even a bit less than half. So we still do around 300 million of hit damage. So that's what he's going to do, our boy from Ancestral Fury. And then we pop the 13 impales. It's also going to be huge from that. That is the idea. Of course, I'm going to put this on practice because if you have seen my builds, I actually put them on practice and try to get those. Now, one of the things that I want to do is I actually won't put the POV, the description or anything, because as you might know, this is kind of going to change quite a bit, mainly because we may be able to get a little bit more powerful in some ways. With the new catalysts, we'll get some more life maybe from this one with the Sinistra or Dextra, I don't know. Our steel rings I also need to change things because of course we don't have the flat physical in the first part, but maybe we get some other synthesized mods. You can also use the precursor emblems, but those have less resistances. Now, Unator's bow is also a cool neck that may come later in the build. At first, you can use just a neck with the critical strike multiplier, critical strike, maybe some hit, more accuracy or something like that. Same with the gloves. Two frenzy gloves are not so easy to come by. So maybe you have like a +1 frenzy gloves, or you use for a while the ones that have +1 extra hit from strikes. Of course, the chest, it has to be the bronze leaf. It just does so much more damage than anything else. And you can see here that I have less dexterity than it, but that's also because I'm using a random brutal restraint. Ideally, you have one that has 2 or 3 plus 20 dexterity nodes, and then get as many increased effect of non-curse auras, because that increases the effect from your pride and also from your banner and also from the flesh and stone thing. Of course, for defensive things, we do use Arctic Armor and Petrified Blood. Petrified Blood mainly because we do want to use Feed the Fury, and then one of the clusters will have the Vicious Skewering, and the other will have Overlord. I was just lazy and also put this one. As normal things, of course, the Runecraft with physical builds of Treachery, because we are using auras that only affect enemies instead of us. They will get a little bit from Vitality and Precision, but we don't really care about evasion anyway. Also, another thing that we may need to change is get Intimidate somewhere. So that's why I said that maybe we change the gloves or use Intimidating Cry just to intimidate. But that's also 10% more. As you might also know and expect, we do get some life here. These staff notes are super good. You can also get the block ones. They are very noticeable. There is also going to be here some cool notes that give you extra damage. And also you get Consecrating Ground on kill and some cool things. Also some accuracy that is going to be very much welcome. But remember, because we are Marauders, we have access also to Eagle Eye. That is super good. And as always, if you want to be more tanky, you also have access to Nomadic Teachings and Pragmatic Skin and even Soul of Steel to have almost 80% elemental resistances. I'm just a softcore Andy without full damage. Now, the Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden... How is it called, the other one? I always forget. Well, the other Forbidden one, I have it on Aspect of Carnage, but as you can expect, because we are Berserkers, we can use also Ancestral Fury or Rite of Ruin, the one that is cheapest, and just path to the other one. You are not going to lose much because this is just like extra attack speed, and this is like 1 rage per hit. This is nothing crazy. Same here. This is some less strike range. So if you get this one, you can just path to Aspect of Carnage. Actually, Ancestral Fury I expect to be the cheapest one for our things. Now, other things that you can do with the new items. I still have to check a lot of things. But also with the extra things that we do with the Impaler, we don't really need Tribal Fury. But it's kind of neat to have it for a while if you don't have a lot of damage. Maybe don't skill the Impaler yet and just spray with Tribal Fury and the Attack Mastery. There is a very close attack mastery that you can get fast as a marauder. You can get this one over here, berzeker, but you can also just go fast for tribal fury and level as flicker strike, or just level as thunder as everyone does. Thunder is very strong and it can carry you up to maps without any issue. This is the build itself, of course, as you might always expect. This is a proof of concept. I kind of like the idea. Of course, this is with everything ticked on. And we need to, of course, tick everything off again. And, of course, let's say that he is not intimidated or crushed. You can see we lose quite a bit of damage, but nothing super crazy. Now, of course, we do have all of our charges because of the Endurance Cry with infinite power, and also because of the Endurance on hit, and Assassin's Mark will give us these two. Sorry, power charges, but we also have the Dueller's Elixir that we will be popping. Now, of course, for the Vaal Flicker Strike, we do have the Soul Reaper that we are going to be using thanks to the Traitor. And we also are going to be using a normal HP Flask. We are immune to freeze because of Arctic Armor. But if you want, you can put the immune to Corrupted Blood and also Bleeding on your normal Flask. Or you can just use the Blood of the Karui. If you get Corrupted Blood immune Jewel, you can put that. Now, as you can see here, I have some Murderous Jewels. These are very vanilla, have critical multiplier, life, and impale effect. Nothing crazy. You can get these quite, let's not say easily, but not super strongly. Ideally, you will get one with double critical multiplier, or maybe with also some flat physical or some damage. It's general. And then we have also Tekrot's Gaze, that this is where it's giving us 200% extra critical strike chance. Now, the Eventuality Rod, I'm actually... This Eventuality Rod, if I remember, it's not a super top one. Like, we are using Tempered, we are using Tyrannical, and also the tier 3 from this. You can make this quite easily with recombinators and doing some metacrafting. I think some people have made a guide already, but if I don't see any, I'm also going to make one for people. It's the same thing, you know. You get the 3 Phys things, and then recombinate them upwards until you have the 3 physical ones. Then you get cannot roll attacks and augment critical or augment the speed. I prefer to augment critical because the best craft for attack speed is still 20%, so you only lose 7%, versus the critical strike one that is 25, and the best critical strike mod is 35. And if you hit the critical strike on the augmentation, the tier 1, you just put the cannot roll attacks again and Shaper slam it, and it's very likely that you get to maximum endurance charges. If you don't get maximum endurance charges and only get any kind of random things, just annul it, and it will kind of die, and you can just keep using Exalted until you get that +1 maximum endurance charges. It may take a little bit, and then after you get that +1 endurance charges, you just craft attack speed. Nothing crazy. Also, Abyssus with 90% cost and reservation, you can use a normal one, or just get a little bit of reservation efficiency on corrupted jewels, sorry, and that should be enough. You don't need a lot. As you can see here, I have like 80 something mana available, and we can also, of course, reduce the cost a little bit and use Cannibalistic Rite instead of the Rivalry. But Rivalry is cool because it's on the range of the Brutal Restraint, and also that way we get the mana mastery, and also has some damage. It's one of the few mana parts that actually has some damage in it. And that is everything. I hope you look forward to the build itself, how it evolves. It's actually nothing super crazy, but I think the Vaal Flicker Strike with Impaler is going to have a lot of cool clips that we are going to use snap bosses in half. I already did it with my Warden. You can check it out in some clips that I have from the 326 league. And there are also maybe some cool new jewels or uniques that we can use, or maybe we can even use the new orb, you know, the cool orb that makes it so uniques get stronger. It's very unlikely that we use this on our chest because we want to double corrupt it for +2 duration and +1 socket at. Even +2 duration is quite good, but maybe on the Arns Anguish, it's kind of good to have even more health. And armor is never bad. And also on the Abyssus, it's going to be super big to get more flat physical, more multiplier, extra attributes, and maybe less physical taken. That's also never bad. I don't know how it would work on the Cross Grace, on even of the Watcher sides. I don't think you can get +3 additional hits impaled, so I don't think I would be using it on that. But for now, maybe you can use this on the Dodger's Elixir. I actually don't think you could do it, but it will be kind of cool. That's everything. Have a nice day, and I will see you on the next video.